The views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Union Broadcasting Inc., ESPN 1510, or its employees. The host is solely responsible for the on-air content.
Welcome back to KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice, telling the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them, and also sharing valuable information to help empower them. That's right. That's right. We're produced by Charitable Communications, underwritten generously by the Ewing, Marion Kaufman Foundation. We're talking awesome nonprofits on Bobby Keys. Ruth is off. She's off saving the world again. She's off at some mission. I think in Puerto Rico again or somewhere. I don't know. She's always off somewhere. So we still keep it rolling. We keep it rolling with the nonprofits in Kansas City. We've got over 8,000 notprofits. They all have a story to be told, and we have a unique one. We've never had you on the show before, I think, right? Right? I think this is the first time for Changing Leads Equine Rescue.
Yes.
Is that right?
Correct.
We got Melissa Harrell.
Oh, that's correct.
Did I get her good?
Yes,
all right.
you did.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Changing Leads. What is Changing Leads, and what do you guys do?
So Changing Leads, we've been around for about a decade. We've been serving Kansas City. We're a horse rescue. So a lot of people in Kansas City, they don't know that horses need rescue. You know, you hear about dogs, you hear about cats, but there's a big calling for horse rescues. So we basically take horses in and adopt them out.
So, well, that's got to be one. That's got to be expensive because horses, I know, are not cheap, and the care for them is not cheap.
Exactly. Yes.
But so, and we'll get into that. But what do they need rescuing from? What happens to where you need to rescue your horse, and what's the most common?
The most common, I would say, is financial statuses. It could be a family member died.
Okay.
Then the current family members, they can't take care of the horses, so they reach out to us. Anywhere from, we've worked with the sheriff's department before, and then just people, they buy a horse and they don't understand the cost. They live for 30 years. There's a long...
Horses live for 30 years?
They can live for over 30 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a combination of things.
Okay. And so I guess what is the cost of kind of the average, per year? What does it cost to maintain a horse?
The cost to maintain a horse, it depends, because like this last year, hay, we had a really hard time with hay. Mm-hmm. So our last order of hay, which lasted us about 6 weeks, was over $1,000.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's for 6 horses. So it depends on where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
I would say average maybe $1,000 to $2,000 a month, depending on the amount of horses you have.
Yeah. Wow. And so how many horses do you have currently?
We currently have 5.
Mm-hmm.
We just adopted one out, actually, this last May. That's a special story.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm actually I'm the special mother of that one. So.
Oh, really?
Yes. That is our first adoption for 2019. But she came from a kill lot. Her name's Sugar.
Okay.
And she had a wound on her shoulder. She couldn't walk. Pretty much, it was either she was going to not make it or she was going to make it. But she fought through it and made it. And I decided to adopt her.
And so, a kill lot. What is a kill lot?
They explain kill lots. They're bought by at auctions, and they get sent to these places that are called kill lots. After the kill lots, they end up going. They could go to Mexico for slaughter. So basically, slaughter transportation, slaughterhouses. When we say kill lots, that's what we mean.
And they go, and then what? So they're slaughtered, and then what happens? They go. What is that?
Once they go into Mexico, then they get slaughtered for meat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the ugly side of that part of the.
And that's what but that's what you're stopping.
We as Changing Leads, we don't have an opinion either way.
Okay.
On that, but it's a big thing in the horse world. So there's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of thoughts on that, but that was actually our first kill lot horse. So,
and so you guys don't specifically focus on kill lot horses. You
No.
you focus on anybody who happens to have a horse, whether they're coming from a racing background or a kill lot or a family that that's like we have we have this horse, we either inherited or we can't take care of it anymore? Or...
We focus more on just helping the Kansas City area and surrounding areas as well, yes.
So, how many horses need help? Like, is it to a point to where you can take as many as you can, or are you at 6 because of the amount of financial burden it takes? How does that look?
At our rescue, we have 7 stalls, so at any time we could have up to 7 horses. If we don't adopt out any horses, then we can't bring any in. But pretty much we can get an email, a call, any kind of messaging once a day, a couple of times a day, of different situations that people are reaching out and advising. They need help locating a home for a horse. They need help with the situation they're in. So it's pretty frequently we get contacted.
Yeah. And is it in just Kansas City area, or is it kind of the Midwest region?
Well, we actually just had somebody a week ago from the St. Louis area contact us, so it goes out pretty far. Okay. And then, so your background,
just jumping into a nonprofit. Hey, how did that look for you? You're like, I'm riding a horse, and then one day you're like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and step into the nonprofit world.
Oh, that was a story.
Yeah.
No, actually, my daughter, she rides horses, and I used to ride horses when I was little. So the barn that Changing Leads is located on the same property, she was taking lessons. And I actually found out about it through her taking lessons there. So at that point in my life, I was like, well, I need something to do. I need something to help cheer me up. And I jumped in, and it was full board for the last 5 years.
And you just kind of been going at it, and like you took the reins? Is that
yeah, pretty much just like ran straight head first into it and have been there ever since. So
okay, so what does that? I guess what does it look like? The from the administrative side, do you have volunteers? Do you fundraise?
There's a lot of things that we do. We're completely nonprofit, so donations are how we run. Nobody's paid on Changing Leads board, any volunteers, so everything is pretty much donations. We have 20 to 40 volunteers right now. So what that means is the horses need to be taken care of. So we have to have people come out, feed them, turn them out, do every basic daily maintenance for a horse. And we have volunteers that do that every day.
And they're doing it for free? Or do you have paid staff as well?
Oh, no paid staff.
No paid staff?
No, absolutely free.
Oh, wow. That's
It's amazing.
Yeah. So what does it look like per day for somebody to go out and volunteer? I mean, what time does it start? Are they nailing the horseshoes in, and you got to?
We don't do that. We have a farrier for that, but it starts in the morning, so between 7 and 9. We have volunteers that will come in every day, about 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours, and they'll feed the horses, take them out, clean their stalls. So they're doing physical labor every day. And then we have the night crew that comes in and does the exact same thing. So they'll feed, they'll water, take care of any kind of maintenance wherever the horses were. So twice a day we have that. And we're blessed to actually have volunteers that do this through winter, summer, spring, fall, because it can get hot and it can get cold.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a lot of work.
It is.
I mean, you really must love horses. Like, I mean, for some, but that's got to be therapeutic for a lot of people. I know people that actually know a couple of people that have kind of gone off and lived on a farm. They have their horses, and they're just like, it's so therapeutic to just be on this land and have these they describe them as majestic creatures, which they are.
They're very majestic and very therapeutic. I've seen so many people's lives turn around just by going out there and being with the horses. I mean, they're 12,000-pound animals.
Yeah.
And at any moment, they're stronger, bigger, faster than you, but just being in the presence of them it does something. It does something.
Now, have you been around horses your whole life?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
What is something like people don't know about horses that is there something? Are they intuitive? Can they sense? I mean, I hear that they are, but
they're very intuitive, and they can sense a person's energy. I would say their demeanor, and they let you know their demeanor too. And I've seen a lot of horses that know when people are in need.
Mm-hmm.
And they take on that person just like a person would take on a horse that was in need. So it's one of God's many creatures that is a miracle, I think.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
They've always amazed me. I mean, they're just the strength of them.
Oh, yes.
So these horses that sometimes you get are they ever sick, or do people just get, how does that?
We rescue horses, and we've had a few cases in the last couple of years where they are sick. We had one horse that ended up having cancer we had to put down. Oh. Another horse was just old and had some lameness issues, which is with their legs. We had another one that had a tumor in his bladder. So, I mean, we get sick horses, and we'll try to save them as far as what we can do and what the vets recommend.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they turn around and they go out to great homes, but sometimes we're their last stop sometimes.
How often do you turn, you get a horse in, right? And then you start looking for a home to place them?
We can get a horse in, and within 3 weeks we have a home for them.
Oh, okay.
So it depends really on their training and what they're capable of doing. The easier horses that are trained for easy beginners, those go very quickly. But then we have ones that have really never been ridden before or haven't been worked with, and it can take a couple months to a year sometimes for those.
Oh, okay. So do you end up training them to those? I guess they would be wild.
Well, they're green. We call them green in the horse world.
Okay.
Yes, we do. We have a trainer at Changing Leads, and we put them in a training program so we can get them more adoptable out to a family.
How long does the training program usually take?
That can depend on the horse.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, is there an average, or is it like, okay, some horses are quicker, some horses are,
yes. I would
stubborn?
Say yes. There's a lot of those actually. Probably a good, I'd say 2 months to 3 months of almost 5 times a week training. They would be pretty much easy broken.
Okay.
So sometimes we can train them 5 days a week. Sometimes we only train them 3 days a week because our trainer's also not paid. So everything is volunteer.
Wow. Yeah, and is there a big horse community in Kansas City?
Oh, yes.
I mean, I know I know we see a lot of them, but I know that in some regions, horses are the thing. Yeah, it's more of I guess there's more history.
There's a very large horse community in Missouri and Kansas City area and the surrounding areas, but you don't hear a lot about it.
Yeah.
But they're out there. I mean, your next door neighbor, you might never talk to him, but they're into horses, have horses, no horses. It's pretty big. Yeah.
So and you guys have a program that's called, it's Paces for Ponies?
It was our Paces for Ponies. That was a fundraising event that we started on Facebook, and it's been going very, very well. So
okay, so people can jump on and help. Now this is I guess, what is it for? Tell us about it. Is it still going, or is it done, or is it something?
At that point, I would have to look online. We have 2 separate groups for Changing Leads. We have one of our groups for the board. They do fundraising, social media, pretty much the administrative part, and then the other group is pretty much the physical on hands part. So, I'm physical on hands part.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And then you guys also, so you have a store too that people can go to and buy. I'm just looking at your website.
Oh yeah, they can go to the website and they can purchase. There's items on there. They can go to our Facebook page as well, which has all of our upcoming events, any of our fundraisers. So pretty much changingleadsonline.org or Facebook, and pretty much can give you all the information you need about us. Yeah, you can. They got a great website, lots of information. You got a blog, you got a store with a lot of pretty cool stuff. I mean, bags and shirts. And you guys, now does this go towards all this? All the money goes towards the Changing Leads, right? And exactly.
Then the horse rescue. Yes. So when you buy this, you are actually doing good. 100% goes to the rescue. So yeah, it's exactly. And you heard there's everybody's doing this for free. So and then you got news and events. You got lots of stuff on here. Now the blog is this more for just kind of the general horse lover?
That's a blog that we started just to kind of reach out and to connect with the horse community, to tell our stories because they have stories too.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. I could see that. That'd be a great thing. Every the horse of the month, you having a story about the horse.
Yes. See, now you're thinking.
I'm a marketing mind, so it's like, well,
I might have to tell Brandy about that.
Yeah. Hit me up. I can put it all out. Content strategy for you. Help you out.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can find out more about Changing Leads. Now, is it equine or equine? How do you pronounce it?
Changing Leads Equine Rescue.
Equine, okay. So Changing Leads Equine Rescue, changingleadsequinerescue.org.
Yes.
You can find out more information and find out how you can help the horses that need help in Kansas City. And we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you very much.
Yes, like us, share our page, please.
Yes. Go on Facebook, share their information, like them, love them, and share this podcast as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks again, and stick around. We're going to be talking about arts in Paola coming up next.
Inspired by Ewing Marion Kaufman, the Kaufman Foundation believes that every person, regardless of their background, can take risks, achieve success, and give back to their communities. We work together with our Kansas City community and beyond through investments in education and entrepreneurship that create uncommon solutions. By listening first to the communities we serve, we seek to understand the problems and dream big with people to build innovative programs that deliver results. Ewing Kaufman worked hard to make Kansas City a major league city. We strive to continue that legacy today, challenging ourselves and our community to take calculated risks, solve problems, and help empower people to shape their future. Learn more at Kaufman.org.
Peter Herrick was a 34-year-old carpenter when he joined the Navy Reserve. Peter's wife, Diana.
They were deployed to build schools and bases and to assist the Marines.
When the mortar round hit, I was completely knocked out. I didn't wake up until 6 days later.
Paralyzed veteran, Senior National Service Officer Raymond Bruce.
I saw Pete when he was at his worst. He didn't know if he was going to live to be able to see his daughter graduate from high school.
Raymond knew that I needed help figuring out where do we go from here.
We not only represent the veteran, but we represent the whole family.
11 months we stayed in the hospital down in Tampa.
We advocate, we educate, and we process claims through the VA, and we follow that claim from the beginning to the end.
Without Paralyzed Veterans of America, I really honestly believe I'd still be in the hospital.
You can help our paralyzed veterans. To learn more, visit pva.org, a public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Inspired by Ewing Marion Kaufman, the Kaufman Foundation believes that every person, regardless of their background, can take risks, achieve success, and give back to their communities. We work together with our Kansas City community and beyond through investments in education and entrepreneurship that create uncommon solutions. By listening first to the communities we serve, we seek to understand the problems and dream big with people to build innovative programs that deliver results. Learn more at Kaufman.org.
My name is Kira Sedgwick. Your children are never too old for you to talk to them about safety. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and Duracell are again partnering through the Power of Parents program to help provide families with tips on how to talk to your children, regardless of their age, about their safety, and new technologies that can help keep your children safer. Help protect your family by visiting powerofparentsonline.com today It may be the most precious time you spend together.
Welcome back to KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice, telling the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them. I'm Bobby Keys, back for another segment of our wonderful nonprofit talk news information. We had just got done with a great conversation with Melissa Harrell from the Changing Leads Equine Rescue here in Kansas City, and we're kind of hitting the Midwest region right about now. Missouri, Kansas. We're talking about arts in Paola. We got a special guest on the phone, Chad Myers, Executive Director of the Paola Community Center. Welcome, Chad.
Hey, thank you very much.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the things going on at the Paola Community Center. Well, what is you guys seem to have a little focus around art?
Yeah, we really do. When most people think of a community center, they think of fitness and sports and aerobics and activities like that. This is a very unique and rare community center that sits right here in the middle of Paola. It sits in a 4-story brick building that used to serve as a dormitory for the sisters and the girls who went to the Ursuline Convent Education Academy here in Paola.
Wow.
And there's a 300-seat historic theater in our building, and it's surrounded around the perimeter by old dorm rooms where the girls used to live, and they would do their performing arts like piano and theater and choir in the theater. And currently, the city owns the building, and we run it as a community center, but we hold all kinds of cultural events such as live theater, movies, concerts, plays, weddings, political forums, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So people can go there and enjoy some of your art programs, and then also some of your other cultural events. Now, do you guys have? I guess what made you kind of direct everything towards art? Like you had mentioned before, when people think of community centers, they think of exercise, fitness, things like that. But what was the thought process behind going towards art?
Well, the thought process was this building was built in 1916, 103 years ago.
Wow.
Opened its doors in February of 1917, and it was built as a cultural arts center on the convent campus. We sit on a 30-acre campus right here in the middle of Paola. So even though it's no longer used for the Ursuline Academy, which is the old Catholic convent that used to reside here, the original purpose of the building was for cultural arts, and when the city bought it 20, 30 years ago and turned it into a community center, we wanted to use it for its original intended purpose, which was the cultural arts.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome to stick with the heritage. I like that. And then especially with the arts, too, putting a little bit of emphasis or concentration on the arts where it's needed. A little bit of background about Paola. Is Paola rich in the arts world? Is there a lot of cultural history in that area?
Paola is very rich in the history. And they have a lot of history here dating back to prior to the Civil War and the Indians residing here. And if you come into Paola, you'll notice all the street names are different Indian tribe names like Wea and Piankashaw. And Baptiste Peoria was one of the founders of the community. And there's a Baptiste Road, which is our main road, and Peoria is another main road. And so there's a lot of rich Indian, Native American history here.
That's awesome. And then are there other establishments or buildings or city establishments that concentrate on art, or is it just kind of the community center that you guys gear towards art?
We do have a few art studios down on the square. They kind of but for the most part, we have all of our cultural arts and entertainment takes place here at the community center, and then we also have a Town Square Event Center down on the square, and they hold all sorts of events like weddings and dinners and receptions and parties and stuff like that. And it's a really beautiful facility as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was looking at some of the pictures online. It's just wonderful. Now, do you guys have these cultural events? Are they free to the public?
Some of them are. For example, yesterday we had a magic show here yesterday in the theater, and it was a free event to promote our reading program through the library. Our library is also connected to the city, so we work with them a lot, and they have a lot of their programs out here. Currently, I've also got summer enrichment classes taking place downstairs, and we also have 11 to 12 different offices, which are the old dorm rooms that we lease out as office space.
Now, that's got to be. Is this all funded from the city, or how does the community center, like, how does that? Where does it get its money? How does it survive?
Well, we survive through a portion of it comes through city tax funding, but a large portion of it comes through rental revenue, because we have a lot of groups that rent rooms here in the building. We get a lot of it through ticket sales, through selling tickets to our events like our movies and our concerts, but then we also have a small portion that comes through tax dollars as well.
Okay, how many people does it take to run this community center? Who are the full-time employees?
Currently, I'm the only one, and then we have a part-time custodian, and we rely real heavily on volunteers and our tenants and our renters that use the building. For example, we have a number of theater groups and dance groups that have keys to the building and hold their performances, like their shows and their concerts and their rehearsals and practices here at the theater, and then they go ahead and sell their own tickets for their shows, and we'll sell our tickets for our shows as well. So we really try to make it a community-based usage for the building.
That is pretty cool. I mean, that's awesome that you have that type of relationship and that trust. And you just, hey, here's the keys, to obviously not just to anybody, but
right.
But
no, we have them fill out a small contract and put a little deposit down, and then we give that deposit back when they're all done. And that's the case for any renter or any tenant that uses the building. But we do place a lot of trust in them and just ask them to take care of the building as they would their own house or their own, store. And for the most part, I've been here 13 years, and we've had, 99% success rate with that.
Wow, 13 years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So now, did you kind of start out there? Is that how you?
Well, the building's been here, like I said, for about 103 years, and it's been owned by the city since about the mid-90s, and volunteers ran it for many years, but I started as the first director of the community center back in 2006.
Well, and
since that time, it's been my job to kind of put more life into the building, and we've done that by leasing out the office space and running events in the theater and renting out the meeting rooms down below.
Yeah, I mean, you got to, the people don't understand. There's got to be some type of revenue stream, right? From a business standpoint, you got to have a revenue stream, and
yeah,
we
do that through rental revenue, ticket sales, and our transfer funds.
Now, you might have said this earlier. Do you guys get any help from the government since you're a community center, or is that just all kind of like we
do get a little bit of tax funding to help offset some of our costs, which keeps us operating and helps us with our overhead expenses. And so it doesn't all come from ticket sales and rental revenue. It comes from 3 or 4 different sources.
Yeah, and that's pretty. I can see that serving a lot of people, especially in the theater and the performing arts, and that's what a wonderful way for people to be able to I guess have access to spaces and rehearsal spaces and performance places that you typically wouldn't have access to. And
a lot of people call it a real gem or a real jewel for the town the size of Paola. We're a town of population of about 6,000 people, and each month we're averaging 1,100 to 1,200 people coming through our building.
Oh, wow.
And so that's I feel it's a pretty good ratio of how we're operating.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're the only one who runs this and oversees it. Do you have to contract people? I mean, like with the events, it seems like it could get pretty. I put on events before, so it's not like just a one-man show. So.
Yeah, no, most of our events are groups that are using the building, like a Cornerstone Performing Arts or Greenleaf Performing Arts or Vita Dance Group, and there's a number of different groups. We have 3 different piano instructors that hold their piano concerts here twice a year, and so we have a number of groups that use the building for their concerts and for their shows and their performances. We also have a number of Christmas events through the month of December. So we have busy times of the year, we have slower times of the year, but for the most part, like I said, we're averaging right around 1,200 people a month coming through the building.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here looking at some of the pictures online as we're talking again, and it's just you got just a pretty awesome space to be able to put on a performance or a show, and to have access to that, and for you guys to be able to just provide that to the community, that could open up a whole world of creativity for kids and groups and so
just for example, we got classes going on downstairs right now with arts and crafts and cooking for kids, and then yesterday we had that magic show in here, and then we had about 100 kids attending that, and then just on Tuesday we offer children's movies every Tuesday in the summer, and we had another 100 kids participating and watching the movie on Tuesday. So we have a lot going on. Yeah,
I see the movie series schedule you guys posted on the website, and so you got Home, you got that already happened. You got Ralph, the new Ralph, Wreck-It Ralph.
Yep.
You got
Yep, that was Tuesday.
Yeah, they got the Croods, Flushed Away, Incredibles 2.
We've also got Dorothy and Wonderland theater shows coming up 2 different weekends in July.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah, that's pretty. I think someone with 4 kids, you got to find stuff for them to do. So having things like this or having access to programs and a center like this is huge. Is huge.
Yeah, and I enjoy working here. I love putting on the shows. I love groups using the building, and that's exactly what this building was intended for. So we're really trying to get the most and the best usage out of it that we can.
Now, you also have these summer enrichment programs?
Yep.
And this is for... Go
ahead. These are classes, like I had mentioned earlier, for kids 3 years old up to about 11 years old. Mm-hmm. And their classes different each summer, but they generally are based around arts and crafts, cooking, mm-hmm. Lego classes, craft classes, and, stuff like that kids can come and learn and make some new friends and pass the time by in the summer.
Yeah, and sensory explorations is one of them as well.
That was one for the younger kids, and it's always a fun class.
Yeah. And now, I guess, from a business standpoint, what is the hardest thing for you, about running the community center, or keeping it going?
The hardest thing probably is filling the seats during all of our shows. Some shows will sell out, and we'll have, we have a small theater. It only seats about 299 people, and just as a side note, my fire chief doesn't allow me to say 300. so I always say 299. But anyway, it's hard to fill the whole theater for our shows. So that might be the hardest thing. Some shows will have 50 or 60 people at them, and some shows will have 250 or 260 at them. But it's just a matter of, you got to do a lot of marketing, got to get the word out, you got to get, out on social media and out in flyers and posters and advertisements all over the town and all over the county and the area to get people to come in and attend our shows. Some are real successful and some aren't as successful, but we keep trying.
And so you have to do all the marketing as well?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. So you're like a one-man band. You're doing it.
Well, I'll never take all the credit myself, that's for sure. It takes a village to run this place. We have We have groups that help us around town. You know, the Senior Citizen Center helps us. The school kids, the leadership clubs at the high school will help us. The city does a lot of work and support, gives us a lot of support to operate, and the Chamber of Commerce is real vital as well.
Awesome. Well, so people can go to the website paolacommunitycenter.org, and now can they volunteer? Is there anything to volunteer for? Yeah. So they can contact
they can send me an email or give me a call, and I can get them on our volunteer list. They can see on the front page, the cover page of the website, all of our upcoming events, and they can also see pictures of the facility itself.
Yeah, you got all the room rentals. You got all the rentals for all the rooms. They got pictures of them. They got a ton of information. What a cool thing to have, access to and something to provide to the community. Thank you very much, Chad Myers. We do appreciate it. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, Executive Director, Paola Community Center. Thank you once again. Go find out more information at the paolacommunitycenter.org. Stick around. Coming up, we are talking with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dayton Moore.
Inspired by Ewing Marion Kaufman, the Kaufman Foundation believes that every person, regardless of their background, can take risks, achieve success, and give back to their communities. We work together with our Kansas City community and beyond through investments in education and entrepreneurship that create uncommon solutions. By listening first to the communities we serve, we seek to understand the problems and dream big with people to build innovative programs that deliver results. Ewing Kaufman worked hard to make Kansas City a major league city. We strive to continue that legacy today, challenging ourselves and our community to take calculated risks, solve problems, and help empower people to shape their future. Learn more at Kaufman.org.
10, 9.
Folks, we're witnessing a huge supermarket event. Mary Atwood is about to break the frozen barrier.
3.
She's heading to the frozen fruit aisle.
1.
She's done it! Mary has broken the frozen barrier, and now she's filling her cart with all kinds of items, including antioxidant-rich wild blueberries. Mary, why all the frozen fruit and veggies?
Because they're easy, affordable, and just as nutritious as fresh. And there are so many different kinds.
There it is, folks. Mary has discovered an easy way to eat healthy every day. She's broken the frozen barrier. Now she's off to set a new record, getting through self-checkout.
For more goodness in your diet, think colorful fruits and veggies. Fresh, canned, dried, 100% juice, and of course, frozen. Learn more at fruitsandveggiesmorematters.org.
A message from Produce for Better Health Foundation.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice, telling the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them, and helping them grow and thrive and learn. I'm Bobby Keys. Ruth is on vacation, but before she left, we actually had a chance to head out to the Jewish Community Center, and we had a sit-down interview. The video is going to be up online at kccaresonline.org, but we have the audio from that interview. Great interview, great insight, and we're going to take a listen to the interview with Dayton Moore and Ruth.
Welcome to KC Cares on location. We're so glad we finally got to catch up with you. You are one busy guy, Dayton Moore.
Well, thanks, Ruth. Nice to be with you. And I know we tried to do this last year, and I'm glad we're able to make this happen today.
Well, everybody knows you from the Royals, from the fantastic crew you have, from player to coaches to front office and all of that. We wanted to talk about the things you do off the field. Okay. Like being here at the Jewish Community Center for your CU and the Major Leagues Foundation. Tell us a little bit about the foundation and what it does.
Well, Marianne and I started our foundation in January of 2014. Really, and the spirit was just to give back to the community that's been so patient with us and so kind to us. And so it's been a great journey. We're having a lot of fun. We've learned a lot. We continue to learn a lot. Foundation work is a full-time job. Fortunately, Matt Folks, who is our director, is on the ground day in and day out. Being able to partner with the J, being able to partner with the Urban Youth Academy has helped tremendously to be able to utilize the expertise of their staffs. Because really, what we want to do is kind of stay in our lane, kind of what our gifts are. We feel like we do a very good job of running camps and organized baseball and softball camps, use them as a platform to help grow leaders. Our C10 leadership program is just finished its first year, where we come alongside of 10 kids this past year from kind of underserved areas of Kansas City. And we hope to expand that maybe to 15, maybe 20. 20, I think, might be a little too many for what we want to do. We've obtained some unbelievable mentors, people in the community that have a heart to help kids and to come alongside of them. So really, that's been kind of our niche. And to be here at the J for our 5th annual camp has been it's great. I mean, our front office is all involved with this. It's a great team building exercise for us. It breaks up our routine, and plus we get a chance to be around some wonderful kids that really have the innocence of the game, the love of the game. It inspires us to really do our jobs, I think, a little bit better.
And these kids love it. I mean, we've been out here watching them run around. They listen. They're engaged. What is it about the foundation that you think is able to grab youth, unlike maybe some other organizations?
Well, I think there's, Kansas City's a special place, as we all know, and there's so many people doing unbelievable work. People that aren't even, that don't make headlines. People behind the scenes that oftentimes don't get the recognition that they deserve. And so we're a very small foundation. Again, we just want to do what we do and do it really, really well, and try not to spread too thin, but focus on the youth. Focus on the hope of the future. And, one thing we tell kids, don't buy into the lie that you can't be as successful or more successful than the previous generation, because to me that's just a lie. That's putting the ceiling on these young people. I think this is the greatest generation ever. I think they've got an opportunity to do so much more, learn from the mistakes that we've made, and it's a great time to live in this country, regardless of what you might hear from certain aspects. I think there's a lot more unity in this country than people would give it credit for. The history of our country tells us that we always stand together. We come together in times of adversity and in times of trouble. And so we just want to do our best to bring hope and healing to young people and know that there is a great future for them. And don't listen to the noise. You've been gifted to be successful. Don't slay the originality of you. Don't get caught up in the world of comparison where it kills your contentment and your joy and your peace and your harmony to thrive in your family and thrive in your community. I mean, you've got special gifts, and just utilize them every single day to the best of your ability. When you do that and you're at peace with that, you sleep better at night. You are more fulfilled, and because you're contributing.
Your foundation is focused a lot on character building. Why is that important, and how do you do that?
Well, Ruth, I think the one thing that we want to do, and I've learned through great mentors, people that I've had a chance to study and work with, and people I haven't even had a chance to meet, but I watch what they do, and I watch what they do so well. It's just like the J here, right? The J, I think, is an unbelievable example of what our community should look like.
How so?
Well, I think that they have a commitment to doing things the right way. They have a commitment to being inclusive to people and to put others first. And so whatever you want society to look like for your kids and your grandkids and future generations, that's how you ought to be living as an individual. If you want generosity in the next generation, you need to be generosity. If you want compassion and kindness in the next generation, that's who you need to be. That's my challenge to me. Tony La Russa, Hall of Fame manager, told me one time, I asked Tony, I said, Tony, why do you believe you were so successful? And Tony said to me, he said, Dayton, he said, look, I've never fooled the man in the mirror. I've always understood who I am. I know where my strengths are. I know where my weaknesses are. I'm not ashamed to admit them. I know what I don't know, and I need to have people around me, surround me, help me, grow me. Why I am in this position today is because I've allowed people to come alongside of me and mold me and shape me and speak truth into my life. I don't want to hear what you think I want to hear. I want to hear the truth. That is the most important part of evaluation. And but again, back to your original question, I think we ought to be setting the example, living the life that we want our kids and our grandkids to have. And we ought to be displaying that every single day in our actions, in our attitudes towards others. And Dr. King said, if you want to be understood, you must understand somebody else. We need more intellectual hospitality in our communities, and I think we're going to get there.
I'm fascinated by your mentor program. I followed it on Instagram. Who were your mentors? Who were the people that you looked up to as a young person?
Well, my heroes have always been, coaches and pastors and teachers, and my mom and dad set a great example. My father actually he overcame a lot of things as a young kid. Didn't speak a whole lot about it, but my mother, made sure that we understood kind of his path and in life as a young person. He unfortunately died young at 49 years old. Got sick at 48 and was gone at 49. My mother had no formal education. She went to work immediately, working 40 hours a week at a local cable company, and then four times a week at Kmart, 3 times at night, and once on Saturday, or one shift on Saturday, and provided and persevered, and both my mom and dad are no longer living. They're no longer on this earth, but they set a great example for us, and things weren't necessarily real easy. At times they were a little dysfunctional, but at the end of the day, my parents loved us, they cared for us, and they were the ultimate example for us.
You're a parent. You have 3 kids. You're a public figure, very visible. How do you balance that at home?
Well, Mary Ann, my wife, is an unbelievable encourager. She's very stable emotionally. She's always been extremely supportive. She takes care of really all of our, everything that we can think of. She's out ahead of it. And when we met at 20 years old. And,
you were kids.
Yeah, we were kids. And I was away playing baseball. She was away at school. It was a lot of long-distance relationship. We really didn't start dating seriously probably until about a year and a half before we were ultimately married. But Mary Ann was the breadwinner. I mean, Mary Ann was the most educated of both of us. I mean, and she, when we got married, I was making $4,000 as a college coach, and she was doing very well as a sales associate at a company called Spot Image, where they sell satellite imagery, a French-owned company in the Washington, D.C. area. And but we'd made an advanced decision that, when we were ready to have children, it was important for her to be home with the kids. She wanted to be a mother. She had a great example in her mother, who raised 4 children, and that's what she wanted to do. And so when we had Ashley, our first, she had to go back to work because, again, I was a college coach, and I couldn't provide for the family on my income, especially living in that Northern Virginia area. Mm-hmm. And so Mary Ann went back to work, and she wasn't real content with it. She was struggling with that, and then the Braves asked me to come down to Atlanta and be the assistant director of scouting. They gave me a $5,000 raise, which wasn't a lot, but it would have afforded us the opportunity to live off of one income in the Atlanta area at the time. So we decided to move to Atlanta. And but you asked the question, and really it's Mary Ann's really been the rock of our family, and it's her commitment level to our family, and really her sacrifice allowing me to kind of do what I love to do, and so I'm forever grateful, for her.
Bringing it back to what you do with the foundation and this new mentor aspect of it, you're dealing with kids, many of whom may be from one-parent households, a little bit different circumstance. What do you share with them coming from a situation that sometimes may seem pretty hopeless to motivate them?
You want to be a great listener. You want to make sure that you come across in a very non-judgmental way. Look, Ruth, we don't have any answers. Really, the only thing I can ever offer anybody is my mistakes. I mean, I don't have this great wisdom, but I think the most important quality you can have is just, care, simple kindness and concern for others, compassion for what they're experiencing, knowing that, we all have a level of dysfunction in our lives, in our families, in our communities, and even the best of circumstances. I mean, there's always some things that, you can do better, right? And so... that's the most important part. Be very transparent. I mean, you might as well be transparent in life because you're going to get exposed anyway.
Everybody has your cell phone number, right?
Right. Well, you know what? I had a 2.2 GPA. Didn't score high on my board scores. Education was never stressed in my family. I had and still do struggle with disability, with reading. In fact, when I do a lot of my daily devotions and a lot of my reading, I do it on audio book, and I read the book while I'm listening to it. It just helps me. Like, I can remember most everything you tell me. I can remember, but if I read it, it's more of a struggle for me. So again, I think just being transparent about your own challenges. I mean, what I'm not afraid to talk about the mistakes that I made. One of the reasons that we feel it's important to speak in our correctional facilities around Kansas and Missouri is to offer hope to those inmates. I've made a lot of those same mistakes. I just didn't get caught. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, I've been behind the wheel of a car with too much to drink as a young person, and by the grace of God, I didn't do anything foolish or too foolish. The consequences were I was saved by that. We've talked repeatedly publicly about some of the harmful effects of pornography in young people, and especially today when you can obtain it so early on and it's everywhere. Well, I know when I first saw pornography when I was in my 20s, and it gave me a distorted view of what a proper relationship ought to be like, okay? And so I'm going to share those things because, again, the only thing I really have to offer is my mistakes. And I'm trying to get better every day. I want to learn every single day. I want to be around people that are adding to my life, not taking from my life. And so, those are a lot of the messages that we share, but really just to show people that we care.
You're in a business, athletics. There's a lot of demand. There's a lot of expectation. How do you deal with that, and how do you find that authenticity?
Well, first of all, I get to do what I love to do. I can't think of a day in my life where I haven't thought or dreamt about baseball. It's always been a huge part of my life, and really the criticism that comes with this job doesn't really affect me the way you might think, because at the end of the day, I have my team at home, Mary Ann, Ashley, Avery, and Robert. I'm true to who I am, and I get to do what I love to do. Ruth, I've been happy in every job I've had in baseball. When I was making no money as a volunteer college coach, I was really happy. When I was an area scout, I enjoyed that greatly. When I was doing international work, that was a lot of fun. When I was a farm director, it was a great joy. Personnel director. I mean, all of those roles that I've had in the game, I've really enjoyed, and so it's never been about anything other than enjoying what you do, working with a group of people that you care about and that you want to see do well. And so we can do that everywhere. I can do that here at the camp. I can do that coaching 8, 9, 10-year-old kids. I'm just really fortunate to be in baseball. So I don't look at it as a very demanding job. I don't look at it as a job. It's just a great blessing to be able to do something you love to do. And we just try to do the best we can each and every day. And some years it works out better than others. But it's a blessing to do what we do.
Your big emphasis, of course, is your foundation, but you've touched a lot of other organizations. Can you talk a little bit about those that you've been able to help?
Well, one of the things that we like to do is, get involved in areas that, promote diversity, promote opportunities for people that are disadvantaged. We've done a lot with the City Union Mission. We've done here locally a lot with, recently with Cultural House. I mean, they have an event each and every year called The Underground, which I think is an amazing production. They actually have it at the Community Center, and it's I want to say it's been going for 12 years now, and it's a terrific event where it talks about the Underground Railroad and the challenges with that, and really the hope that it brought. And it's an amazing story. I think one of the great stories of our history, and I think it needs to be told and understood. We work a lot with the Urban Youth Academy and with our camps, and the thing that's really neat that we get to do is come alongside of some families who are experiencing some tragedy, right? And we just had some tornadoes here that hit north of the city, and so we're in the process of vetting a family where we can go in there and help them and just give them some aid. Families that have lost all their belongings in either fires or floods and things like that people make us aware of, and we're able to strategically do that. We've had to have some opportunity to help some kids through tuition at Johnson County Community College. That's exciting to be able to do that. To help people keep their lights on, pay some utility bills. I mean, all of that is things that we really enjoy doing. And so we've given away almost $1 million since we began. And,
that's amazing.
Really because of the great generosity of people within Kansas City. And how we've raised that money is it's primarily been through our book sales more than a season. All those proceeds went to the foundation, and it's almost $300,000 that we made from the book because fans and others wanted to understand our story. Plus, I think a lot of people were just really generous because they knew all of the proceeds were going to the foundation. A lot of the speaking engagements that we do go directly to the foundation, so we work for it, and we're not big in asking people for money. I mean, we just feel like God will provide whatever He wants us to have, and we just have to be really, really good stewards of it. We have a major event every year. We have a Crown Town Wiffle event that we do.
Coming up?
Yeah, coming up in July during the All-Star break, and we'll have a day at the Urban Youth Academy and then a day at the Little K out at Kauffman Stadium, and so it's just an opportunity for us to raise some funds to help keep us going. Mary Ann and I are very intentional about paying for our employees. We don't want any of the giving to go towards employment of our people. So Mary Ann and I take that responsibility, and but it's a lot of fun. Like I said, we've learned a lot, and it's a lot of work.
Thank you for what you do on the field, of course, but thank you even more for what you do off the field. You show the Kansas City cares, that the Dayton Moore family cares, and you're making such a great difference. Thank you for what you do.
Well, thanks, Ruth. Thanks for having me. Appreciate being with you today.
Awesome interview. Thank you, Dayton Moore, for taking the time, and thank you for listening to KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit digital resource and nonprofit voice, produced by Charitable Communications. KC Cares is generously underwritten by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation. To be a guest on KC Cares or for underwriting opportunities, visit kccaresonline.org. Spread the love and find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at KC Cares Online. And thank you for listening to KC Cares on ESPN Kansas City 1510 and 94.5 FM.
ESPN Kansas City is KCTE Independence and K233DM Raytown, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM.